Mama Amara sat cross-legged on the flattened carton they called a bed, clutching a small stone as if it were gold. She rocked back and forth, her wrapper slipping off one shoulder. "Leave me," she hissed at the air. "I see you. I see all of you." Amara placed a hand on her arm. "It's me, Mama. I'm here." The sharpness in her mother's eyes softened for a moment. She gave a tiny smile, directed not at Amara but at the stone. "Good girl." Amara knew the drill. She tied her mother's wrapper tighter, wiped her face with the corner of her own dress, and helped her to her feet. Together they walked to their usual begging spot beside the gutter, where the morning traffic slowed just enough for people to stare. The market was waking. A tomato seller caught sight of them and scowled. "Don't sit near my stall," the woman barked. "People will think I'm giving you food." Amara didn't answer. Silence was safer than argument. Her mother began humming, a sound somewhere between a song and a cry. Amara fixed her gaze on the road, counting buses as they passed. Counting kept her mind still. A boy walked past, muttered "witch," and tossed a pebble at her foot. The stone missed, but the laughter hit its mark. Amara tightened her jaw. By noon the sun pressed down heavy. Sweat ran along her spine. A man in a clean shirt dropped a coin into her palm without looking at her face. Moments later, a woman placed 2 more coins in her hand, then clicked her tongue like she was feeding an animal. It was enough for water, not for food. "Stay here," Amara told her mother. "I'll buy something to drink." She crossed to Mama Dora's stall, counted the coins twice, out loud, before handing them over. Mama Dora eyed her the way people do when they're checking for trouble. "No change for extra stories today," she said, passing over the sachet of water. Amara nodded, collected it, and walked back to the gutter. Her mother had stopped humming and was staring at nothing in particular, lips moving in silent conversation with the air. Suddenly a bus backfired. Her mother screamed and covered her head. "It's just a bus, Mama," Amara whispered. Her mother blinked at her. "Amara." "Yes. Are we going home?" "This is home." The fog returned to her mother's eyes. She clutched the stone tighter. Across the street, school children in spotless uniforms poured out of the Bright Star Learning Academy, laughing as they waved homework books in the air. A teacher pointed at a chalkboard still visible through the open gate. Amara's lips moved without thinking. 8, she whispered. The answer's 8. No one heard her. By 3 o'clock, the air smelled of roasted corn. Amara's stomach twisted, but her coins would only buy bread. She chose bread. It was the practical choice. She had just paid when a boy snatched a note from her fingers and ran. She chased him through the market, weaving between baskets and basins, until he flung the note to the ground just to make her stop. She snatched it up before anyone else could grab it. When she returned to her mother, she split the bread into small pieces, feeding her slowly. The day began to fade. One by one the market lights flickered on. "Mama," Amara said softly, "look at the sky." Her mother pointed to the brightest star. "Is that our house?" "One day," Amara said. She laid out the carton, tucked their small bag behind her back, and placed the stone near her mother's hand. Her trick to keep Mama from waking in a panic. Before closing her eyes, she recited her times tables, the English words she had learned from torn flyers, and the sentences she had overheard from classrooms she wasn't allowed in. She thought about the mango tree behind the high fence of Bright Star Learning Academy, the tree she had seen from afar many times. She thought about the girl who sometimes sat alone under it, her polished shoes catching the sunlight. Tomorrow Amara decided she would go closer, not to beg, to listen, to learn. She closed her eyes. "I'm not worthless," she whispered. "I'm just waiting to be seen." And in the heart of Stonebridge City, under the noisy, restless night, a girl kept her mind lit like a lamp no one could put out. The next day in East Point Market began with heat. Not the kind that built slowly, but the kind that settled early, making the air thick before the morning was halfway through. Amara crouched beside Mama Amara, keeping her eyes low as traders set up stalls. She had learned to avoid too much eye contact. In this part of Stonebridge City, looking at the wrong person too long could get you shouted at, or worse. Her stomach had been empty since yesterday afternoon, and the little bread they'd shared had done nothing but tease her hunger. She tried to distract herself by counting the wheels of passing carts. For 8:12. "Amara," her mother murmured, rocking in place. "Tell them to bring my wings." Amara didn't ask who they were. She simply took her mother's hand, squeezing it gently. "They'll come." That's when she noticed a woman watching from across the street. She stood behind a wooden food stand covered with bright cloth. 2 big coolers sat on the counter, steam curling from the edges. Plastic chairs were scattered nearby. The woman was medium height, with skin the color of warm honey and a calm but alert expression. She wore a fitted Ankara dress, her hair wrapped neatly in matching fabric. When Amara's eyes met hers, she looked away quickly. She hated being stared at. Too many stares in her life had come with judgment. Minutes later, the woman crossed the road. "What's your name?" she asked gently. Amara hesitated. "Amara." She nodded toward Mama Amara, who was now clapping at invisible dancers. "And this is your mother?" Amara nodded again. "She's sick, isn't she?" Another nod. "What have you eaten today?" Amara kept her mouth closed. Too many questions led to disappointment. Instead of pushing, the woman lifted a covered takeaway plate and held it out. "Here, eat." Amara hesitated. Street lessons had taught her. Free things often came with a price. "I'm not like the others," the woman said softly. "You can trust me." The smell broke her hesitation. Hot jollof rice, thick with spice, and a piece of fried meat glistening on the side. She took it. That was the first time she met Auntie Beezy. The next morning, Amara returned to the food stand. Auntie Beezy was already setting up. "Do you want to work?" she asked. Amara nodded. She swept the floor, washed plates, and helped arrange chairs. In return, she got food, and something even more precious, a place to sit that wasn't a gutter. One afternoon, Amara was crouched under the counter, writing numbers in the dust with a stick. Auntie Beezy noticed. "Where did you learn that?" she asked. "From the school near the express road," Amara replied. "I listened from the window." "You never went to school." "I did for 2 weeks. Auntie Remy paid, but she moved away." Auntie Beezy didn't say anything. But the next week, she brought Amara an exercise book and a pack of pencils. The week after that, she took a bigger step, walking Amara into a dusty public school in the Silverleaf district. The uniform they bought from the thrift market was too big, but to Amara, it felt like wearing a crown. She was shy at first. Other children whispered and laughed, pointing at the street girl in a second-hand uniform. But when the teacher asked a question, Amara's hand shot up. She answered before anyone else could speak. By the end of her first week, even the head teacher was asking, "Who trained this child?" Every afternoon after school, Amara returned to Auntie Beezy's stand to work. She cleaned, she served, and sometimes she got to taste leftovers, pieces of fried plantain or half a bottle of soft drink. It was the first time she felt like she was building something that might last. But the streets had taught her not to trust stability. One evening, Auntie Beezy came home holding a white envelope. "My sister in the north finally sent the papers," she said, tears in her eyes. "After 7 years of waiting, I'm leaving next month." Amara's smile froze. "So, we're traveling." Auntie Beezy looked away. "No, Amara. Just me." It was like the air left her chest. "I've paid your school up to this term," Auntie Beezy continued. "Maybe someone else will help you after that. I've done all I can." Amara wanted to beg her to stay, but the words wouldn't come. 3 weeks later, Auntie Beezy was gone. When the next term started, the head teacher called her to the office. "I'm sorry, Amara," she said. "Without fees, you can't stay." Amara stood outside the school gate for hours, her bag clutched tightly, waiting for someone to call her back. No one did. That night, she returned to the broken kiosk in East Point Market, the place she had sworn never to sleep in again. The space smelled different now, claimed by someone else. A drunk man shoved her away when she tried to sit. She found her mother in their old begging spot, trying to feed a dead bird with Gary soaked in dirty rainwater. "Mama, it's me," she whispered. Her mother slapped her and turned away. Amara sat beside her anyway, sharing the little bread she had bought. In the weeks that followed, she tried to visit the public school again. The answer was the same. No fees, no school. But Amara wasn't ready to let go of learning. She began walking to the fence of Kingsway Academy, one of the city's wealthiest schools. There she found her place, a crack in the wall behind a tall mango tree, just big enough to see the chalkboard. She stood on the ledge, listening, memorizing, and writing on scraps of paper she found in bins. And one day, that secret classroom behind the mango tree would lead her to the person who would change her life forever. The mango tree behind Kingsway Academy stood like a quiet giant, its roots curling into the earth as if they owned it. From Amara's side of the fence, it was more than a tree. It was a doorway. Every school day, just before the lunch bell rang, she slipped into the narrow space between a drainage pipe and the market wall, making her way to a small gap in the fence. It wasn't much, a tear in the metal mesh where weeds had grown wild, but it gave her a view into a different world. Through that gap, she could see a junior classroom with tall glass windows and polished desks. The air there looked softer somehow. The uniforms were crisp, the shoes shone, and the students' names were stitched neatly into their blazers. She would crouch in the shadow of the mango tree, a broken pencil in one hand and a scrap of paper in the other. Every word the teacher spoke she copied. Every problem written on the board she solved. She had been doing it for 2 weeks without getting caught. But on the 15th day it happened. A shadow fell across her. "You're the girl they keep chasing away, aren't you?" Amara's head snapped up. Standing just a few steps away was a girl about her age, her hair in neat cornrows, her blazer spotless, her name tag glinting in the sunlight. Leah Duro. Amara's voice stumbled out. I didn't mean any harm. I was just listening." Leah tilted her head. "Why?" Amara frowned, unsure if it was a trick question. "Because I want to learn." Leah studied her face, then lowered herself to sit in the grass. "You don't go to school?" "No. My mother is sick. We live in East Point Market." Leah glanced back at the classroom windows, her voice lowering. "People laugh at me too. They say I'm dumb. They think my dad pays the school to keep promoting me." Amara blinked. "You. But you're rich." Leah gave a humorless laugh. "I don't understand anything in class. I try, but it's like the words float away before I can catch them." The silence that followed was heavy, but not uncomfortable. Then Leah reached into her bag and pulled out a math textbook. "Can you teach me this?" Amara took the book, her eyes scanning the page. "Fractions." She smiled faintly. "Okay, look. When you see 1/2 and 1/4, they don't have the same bottom number." "Denominator," Leah supplied quickly. "Yes, denominator. So first you make them match." Within minutes, Leah was solving problems she had struggled with for weeks. Her eyes lit up. "I get it. I finally get it." "You're not dumb," Amara said simply. Leah stared at her for a long moment, as if she was seeing her for the first time. "And you're not just smart. You're magic." That was the start. Every day after that, they met under the mango tree during lunch break. Leah came with her lunchbox, rice, beans, spaghetti, plantain, always enough to share. Amara came with her mind, her patience, and her broken pencil. She taught Leah how to read passages without sounding like a robot. She turned multiplication into games. She explained essays like stories told by the fire. Sometimes Leah laughed so hard she had to hold her stomach. Sometimes she just sat quietly, soaking in every word. One afternoon Leah asked, "Do you have a best friend?" Amara didn't hesitate. "You." Leah smiled, but it faded quickly. "What if my dad finds out? What if he says we can't be friends?" Amara shrugged. "Then you'll forget me. That's how it works." "No," Leah said fiercely. "I won't." Amara looked at her for a long moment, then said softly, "Rich people don't like their daughters sitting with girls like me. My mother begs on the road. Some say she's cursed. They think I'm cursed too." Leah reached over and took her hand. "You're not cursed. You're magic. And I'm not letting anyone take my magic away." One day, Amara arrived late, dust on her legs and her breathing uneven. "You okay?" Leah asked. "My mother had an episode. She ran into the road. I had to pull her away before a taxi hit her." Leah's eyes softened. "You still came. Even if I had to crawl," Amara replied. Leah stared at her, something unspoken passing between them. Then she said, "One day I'll tell my dad about you. I promise." Amara hesitated. "What if he says no?" Leah smiled with a stubborn spark. "Then I'll scream until he says yes." It was a Thursday. The kind of day where the air felt too still, like the city was holding its breath. Amara sat under the mango tree, explaining how to find the main idea in a passage about a river. Leah leaned in, her lunchbox forgotten between them. "You see this sentence?" Amara tapped the page. "It's the heart of the whole story. Everything else is just details around it." Leah grinned. "I get it now. No wonder my essays sound like I'm lost." Before Amara could answer, she heard it, the low hum of engines. 3 black SUVs rolled into the compound of Kingsway Academy, their tinted windows gleaming in the noon sun. Leah froze. "That's my father's convoy." Amara's pulse quickened. "Why is he here?" "I don't know," Leah whispered. "He never comes in the middle of the day." The first SUV stopped in front of the main building. A tall man stepped out, broad-shouldered, dressed in a deep blue kaftan, gold cufflinks glinting at his wrists. Even from a distance, his presence commanded attention. Teachers straightened their clothes. Security guards snapped to attention. Leah's voice dropped to a whisper. "That's Mr. Duro, her father." Amara stood quickly. "I have to go." But before she could move, a deep voice carried across the lawn. "Leah." The sound rooted Leah to the spot. Slowly she turned. "Daddy." Mr. Duro's eyes narrowed as they fell on Amara, barefoot in a faded dress, clutching a worn nylon bag. His gaze was sharp but not cruel yet. "Who is this?" he asked. Leah stepped forward. "This is Amara. She's my friend." His brow arched. "Your friend?" "She teaches me," Leah said quickly. She's the reason I'm doing better in school. Amara's voice trembled. It's true, sir. I only wanted to help her understand. Mr. Duro studied her, his expression unreadable. Where do you live? In East Point Market, Amara replied quietly. With your parents? My mother. She's sick. We don't have a home. One of the security guards shifted uncomfortably. The mango tree seemed to lean closer, as if it too was waiting for his answer. Finally Mr. Duro said, Take me to her. Amara's eyes widened. Sir, please, she doesn't know I come here. She's not well. I don't want her embarrassed. His voice softened, but only slightly. I'm not here to hurt her. I just want to see. Leah stepped closer to her father. Promise you won't make her go away. His eyes moved between them, his daughter holding hands with a barefoot girl like they were sisters. I promise, he said at last. 30 minutes later, the convoy pulled into East Point Market. The air there was different, thick with the smell of smoke, sweat, and frying oil. People slowed to stare at the gleaming SUVs, whispers rippling through the crowd. Amara pointed to a corner near the gutter. She's there. Mama Amara sat on the pavement, legs stretched, rocking back and forth. She clapped her hands to a rhythm only she could hear. Mr. Duro approached slowly, crouching so he was level with her. Madam, he said gently. Her eyes darted to him. Did you bring my wings? I left them in your car. Behind him, Amara swallowed hard. I'm going to help her, Mr. Duro said quietly. She needs proper care. I know people. Amara's voice cracked. Please. I don't want money. I just want her to be okay. He nodded. She will be. And from today. His gaze met hers. You are not a homeless girl. You have a father now. That night, Amara took her first proper bath in years. Not the kind with cold water scooped from a bucket by the roadside, but a steaming shower in a tiled bathroom so clean it smelled like new. One of the housemaids, Auntie Grace, handed her a soft towel and a set of pale blue pajamas. Mr. Duro said to treat you like his daughter, she murmured, still looking slightly puzzled. The bed in the guest room was big enough for 3 of her. The sheets were white, the kind that didn't itch. She lay there stiffly, afraid her weight would crease them. Somewhere down the hall, she heard Leah laughing. It was the same laugh she'd heard under the mango tree, light and real. Only this time it wasn't shared in secret. The next morning, Auntie Grace brushed Amara's hair into neat plaits and tied them with matching ribbons. On the bed lay a new Golden Crest Academy uniform. Crisp white shirt, navy blazer, pleated skirt, and polished shoes that actually fit. Leah clapped when she saw her. You look just like me. Amara smiled faintly. I feel like I'm dreaming. You're not, Leah said firmly. Daddy said you belong here now. Walking through the front gates of Golden Crest was different from standing outside Kingsway's fence. This time there was no sneaking, no hiding. Students stared openly. Some whispered, but she kept her head high. In class, Amara raised her hand for every question. By the end of the first week, even the teachers were glancing at her papers with raised eyebrows. She's exceptional, one of them told the principal. Where did this girl come from? The principal only smiled. From the street, apparently. But now she's family. Meanwhile, Mama Amara had been admitted to a private psychiatric clinic in the Rose Hill district, under the care of Dr. Femi. The visits were difficult. Some days her mother didn't know her. Some days she shouted at shadows. But on rare afternoons, the fog in her eyes would lift, and she would hum the lullabies Amara remembered from childhood. On the 5th visit, Mama Amara was calmer. She patted the bed beside her. Come, sit. Amara obeyed. Do you know, her mother began slowly, why you never had a sponsor when you were small? Amara frowned. No. Her mother's gaze drifted to the window. When you were 5, a charity offered you a scholarship to Bright Spring Academy. Good school. Uniform, books, everything. She paused, her fingers twisting in the sheet. That same week you got sick. Very sick. The doctor said you needed an operation, or you wouldn't survive. Amara's chest tightened. I sold the scholarship slot to a wealthy family, Mama Amara continued, her voice cracking. The money paid for your surgery. You lived. But I knew you would hate me if you found out. Amara blinked hard, the room swimming in her vision. Years of street struggle, all traced back to that moment. But she saw it now, not as betrayal, but as the only choice a desperate mother could make. You didn't take my future, Amara whispered. You kept me alive long enough to find a better one. When Amara told Mr. Duro, he was silent for a long time. Finally he said, then we owe her everything. And he meant it. The Golden Crest Academy Assembly Hall was packed. Founders' Day was always the biggest event of the year. parents in sharp suits, students in perfectly ironed uniforms, the air buzzing with music from the school band. Amara stood backstage beside Leah, smoothing the pleats of her skirt. She had never been in a room this grand before. Gleaming wooden floors, chandeliers that glittered like frozen rain, banners of gold and navy hanging from the ceiling. Leah squeezed her hand. Ready? Not really, Amara admitted. Don't worry. It's Dad's show. We just have to stand there. When Mr. Duro took the stage, the room fell silent. He began the way everyone expected, thanking the teachers, praising the students, speaking about the school's achievements. But then his tone shifted. I want to tell you a story, he said. He spoke of a girl born into hardship, with no father and a mother battling illness. A girl who once had a scholarship, but lost it because her mother sold it to pay for life-saving surgery. She didn't understand the sacrifice at the time, he said, his voice steady, but that choice kept her alive. Alive long enough for fate to bring her to the gates of this school. Gasps rippled through the audience. Teachers turned in their seats. Students leaned forward. This girl, he continued, taught my daughter, taught her so well that her grades soared beyond expectation. She is proof that potential is not limited by circumstance. She is proof that kindness, when given a chance, can change not just one life, but many. He turned and gestured toward the side of the stage. Amara, please join me. Amara stepped into the lights, her heart pounding. She could feel the eyes of the entire hall on her, but for the first time in her life, the weight of their gaze didn't feel like shame. It felt like sunlight. Mr. Duro rested a hand on her shoulder. This is my daughter now, as much as Leah is. And the woman who made the choice to save her life is here today. From the front row, Mama Amara rose slowly, dressed in a soft blue gown Leah had helped her choose. She still had a distant look in her eyes, but her smile was clear and proud. The applause that followed was thunderous. After the event, people approached them, parents, teachers, even students, to shake Amara's hand. You're inspiring, one teacher said. You're proof, a parent whispered. Mama Amara didn't speak much, but as they left the hall, she squeezed Amara's hand and said, Bright one. That night, under the mango tree in the school garden, no longer hidden behind fences, Amara sat with Leah. You changed my life, Leah said. Amara smiled. You changed mine first. She looked up at the sky. I'm Amara, daughter of Mama Amara, student of Golden Crest, and the girl who was never worthless. I was just waiting for someone to see me. And now the world did.